Is that coming through? Hey, now YouTube has audio. So I'm Mad Rat Productions, first time doing through YouTube, and you pretty much missed everything. So what I was talking about is the easel. But now on to the last part, which I think is important, especially if you're trying to understand, who am I? What am I doing? And that's to talk a little bit about my history. So this week I'd like to share a time back in actually college, when I went to Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. See, back then we had three artists: Jim Valone, Mitch Castor, and Bob Thomas. Not Bob Ross, Bob Thomas. And these three artists, amazing. The figure work that they would do. I actually have a Mitch Castor upstairs that I got. That one's kind of its own story. I'll drag it down someday and tell it. But confidence, you have these things built up in your head, and you do that with everybody, that you have respect, admiration, just overall just drive. And you forget, these are people. These are just regular people, everyday people, and they have their same hang-ups. And so what happened was, they realized in me that I was doing too much hero worship. Okay? So this is what they did for me, and it really did help. So we have live drawing sessions. It was by invite only, and we would all get together and do a figure drawing class. Well, to help loosen me up, and I didn't know this at the time, but to help loosen me up, they went drinking before the live session, because there was a bar just down from the school. So we all met up early, got peddled out of our minds, and then went back up to draw. And I'll be honest, it was probably some of my best drawings because I wasn't busy worrying about Jim Valone looking over my shoulder, or the fact that Mitch Castor just set up right in front of me where I could see my piece and his piece and the model, that was awful. You could see how terrible yours is compared to theirs. I stopped thinking about all of that, and what I was focusing on was two things: value and shape and shadow, spatial relationship, and not falling over. And that's not the order of priority. Order of priority was, number one, don't fall over. And what that did was it got me out of my head. Instead of worrying about all this stuff that's going on inside head, it's just in my head. There's no outside hero worshiping going on with. These are just guys doing the thing that they love to do. That's it. There's nothing more. You don't go and freak out over the guy who does bonsai. It's his world. He's enjoying it. Let them enjoy it. You get to what you enjoy. And that was me doing figure work. So once I got over that, and I didn't have to go drinking with him, because A, that was a lot for a liver, but B, I got taken out of my little shell of what was going on in my head, and I was present in this situation, in the space that I was at the time. So man, get out of your head. Everything that's going on is just going on in here. Stop letting that be what defines your reality. Let reality define it. So that's how it got me over my hump, and it really helps with a lot of things in life, because everybody freaks out about asking a question. Well, nobody's gonna kill you for asking a question, for asking for a little bit of this, asking for a little bit more of that. Just ask. Get out of yourself and ask. The worst that happens is they say no, and you're right back where you started anyhow. There's only positive when you ask. So ask. Ask for help. Ask for the thing that will help you move on. That's all you got to do. Reach out. It's such a simple thing, but we get so locked into our own heads, we forget. So that's kind of why I'm doing the portrait. I asked, and my wife was like, well, what's an easy win for you right now? And I'm like, well, I have my friend that I was kind of wanting to do a portrait for. And she's like, well, there you go. You don't have any personal ties to the subject matter. Like my daughter, oh my gosh, talk about mind games there. Do that. Do that instead. And then get out of your funk, and then that way you can get back to the stuff that you really want to do. So that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully this will get me where I need to be so I can be productive again in my studio. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna start working on the portrait. I'll post some reels of that. I hope you're willing to join me in my adventure as I try and figure out a way to produce a series of paintings. As this is a whole new thing for me, folks. I have always kind of been a commissioned artist, so I've never really had to sit down and think, except for the one time, which was my art show. I had to come up with a concept and do individual pieces that were really only my personal expression. And it's difficult. It's very difficult to come up with something. But I did. And so, man, I hope I can come up with something this time around that's worth sharing. And that's my fear. That's what's stuck in my head right now. So, this is the show I came up with. So this is Dancing Woman Piece 1. These are several acrylic panels, 6 feet high, 5 feet across, with a woman dancing in each frame with this back illuminated frame. And I don't know if you can see it too well, but the shadows is really what I was going for here. The shadows are would dance because I had an oscillating fan blowing on these acrylic panels, and they would move. So the shadows would dance. The sweet thing is, and I didn't realize it at the time, but the acrylic panels were reflective, and they created a whole dancing cascade in the entire room of the installation, and it felt like you were inside the disco ball. Talk about dancing, an embodiment of dancing. So cool. And then this is roller coaster 1. It took me over 63 rides to get enough clear images of the roller coaster ride to actually paint on these acrylics panels. And then each color represents another area of that ride. The beginning is this high intensity red at the start when you're just drop off that big first start hill. Orange, this high intensity orange, is during the ride where you're twisting and turning and bending. And then the cool blue is the end of the ride when you come to a full stop, but your adrenaline's still popping. And then I put oscillating fans on here, and then I used the same kind of wiring and construction for the roller coaster to kind of give it that roller coaster feel. And then one of my oil paintings. And then These last three are my fin show motion studies. Motion study 1, motion study 2, and motion study 3. And these are multiple figure drawings stacked up on top of each other, and then I use color to separate the individual poses, and I'm hoping to try and capture that figure's movement through the three-dimensional space with a very futurist's mindset. Not the concepts of futurism. I don't want to burn down the museums and destroy the history and clear a path for what's coming. But from a visual perspective, the idea of capturing motion, the future of progress in a three-dimensional space, coming from a seated position and then going up to a standing position. Same here, twisting. And this from a seated down position, well, actually from up down into a seated position. So those are my motion studies. And that was my art show. Strangely enough, not so captivated by strictly motion this time around. I think the lupus really slowed me down. So the idea of being super active is more of a memory of mine than an actual interest anymore. So that's me. That's me in a nutshell. A little bit of history on this old artist, Floyd Fernandez, Matter Productions. So if you made it this long, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the interest. It helps me with my head and making me realize that there is something in me worth sharing. So thank you for sticking it out. Keep an eye out. I'll be working on this portrait, and I don't know, I didn't ask permission to show the portrait. They don't even know I'm painting it. So I'll have to check with them before I do all that. It should be okay, but it's always better to ask. Always better to ask than to assume. No one wants to make an ass of me and you. So this is Floyd, Matter Productions. Hope to have a wonderful week. I hope you have a great day, a wonderful evening, or a good night, depending on where you are. And I will see you soon. Bye.